welcome back to another edition of Real Recognizes Real, where I am your host, College Cottrell. And this week we got a special one. This week we are going to be focusing on cornerback Mansoor Delane. This is the first corner that we've been focused on this season here, and I'm excited. In my mind, I think he is the consensus number one cornerback in this class, and I'll even go out and I don't know if this is a bold take or not, but I think this is the best corner we've seen since 2022. That class that had Sauce and Derek Stingley in it. I think he's as good of a prospect as those guys. So, really, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into his pros and cons here. And one of the first things that stood out to me pretty much right away there is his versatility. So, if you follow Mansoor and you know his journey, so he started off originally at Virginia Tech. And if you know Virginia Tech and their defensive schemes that they run there, they play a lot of zone coverage. And I think that gave him the ability to understand, route concepts, understand where he's supposed to be, understanding a better idea about how to, ultimately read quarterbacks' eyes and things like that. But in reality, I think man coverage is really where Mansoor makes his bread and butter. He's elite at man coverage and very sticky in coverage there. And I think he is for sure, more of a man guy, and you want to throw him in those bump and run situations. But again, he is more than comfortable in zone coverage and understanding what his responsibilities are. In a defense that's playing a ton of zone. Next thing up here, I have tackling. And with tackling, normally it's like, okay, if I got a cornerback that's elite in coverage, as long as they can tackle, we're good with that. Well, it's more than that with Mansoor. He's more than just willing. He'll stick his nose in the fire whenever possible, like I have down here. And you see it where whether it's a screenplay, he'll trigger down and fly down with bad intentions all the time. And I think that's really special because you don't typically see that from the cornerback position there. So he's more than just willing. He'll go out and he will be the first one to make a tackle and try and lay some wood there. Next thing I have here is that he's a ball hawk. With 8 career interceptions, to me, I think that displays that he has good hands when he actually is targeted. And he's in a position to make a play there. You really don't have to worry about him, jumping around necessarily or being pick hungry per se. But when that opportunity presents himself, he will take the ball away. And then the last thing that I have here is that he's smart. You could just tell by watching the film that his football IQ is off the charts because, he can see how things are playing out. He can understand how route concepts work. And, if I got a guy that's crossing my face here, that means they're probably sending somebody trying to, get it behind me and go deep or things like that. And, I think it's really cool to kind of see that on film because you can kind of see his brain just processing these plays and things like that. And then the nice thing too is that he has that ability to read the quarterback's eyes and he has a really good feel for the game itself there. And then just kind of piggybacking off that IQ thing, he had a great 2025 campaign where he actually didn't commit any penalties for the entire season. I think at the cornerback position, especially one that's as, you know, physical and kind of handsy as Mansoor, for you to not commit any penalties for an entire season, I think that's very, very, very special. And then just going over to the con side, honestly, I really don't have a real concern as far as his play goes in itself. I think the one thing that I just wanted to make note of is that with his size, he is perfectly fine to be an NFL outside cornerback, but with his bad intentions that he displays, especially in the run game, or if he sees a screen and he's going downhill, like he is trying to hit these guys as hard as possible. And I do think, when you're trying to trigger down on a Derrick Henry or you're trying to trigger down on a Saquon Barkley, I do think you got to be a little bit, more careful about just when you're sticking your nose in those fights there because these guys at the next level are massive. And so we still want you to be aggressive, we still want you to come down and tackle, but that's just kind of one of the things that I kind of worry about with him having somewhat of a smaller frame as that cornerback at that cornerback position. But let's go ahead and get into his player comparison here. And for me, I think that Mansoor Delane reminds me a ton of Shavarius Ward from the Indianapolis Colts there. Obviously, both of these guys, same kind of frame there, 6 foot, 6'1", 187, 196. Great athletes there as well. Mansoor didn't run the 40 at the combine, but at his pro day, people clocked him anywhere between 4.34 and 4.39. So got him in that 4.3 ish range there. And Shavarius Ward, if you don't know his story, he was an undrafted free agent, so he didn't compete at the combine either, but at his pro day, went 37 in the vertical, and then he was somewhere in the 4.4 range there. Just depending on who clocked him in his 40 there. But I think he reminds me a lot of Ward because Delane is not scared to go down and make a tackle, but he's also elite in man coverage. And with the similar frames there and everything, I think he has the ability to go in and dominate at that quarterback cornerback position in the NFL. And you can stick him on a number one and be perfectly fine with the result there. So for me, I think the Mansoor and Shavarius Ward comparison is pretty spot on there. Now let's go ahead and get into his film here. Just like normal, we will have three games that we're going to go through. The three games that I picked are against quarterbacks who are either in this year's NFL draft or will be, in next year's class there. So I got a game against Clemson, a game against Ole Miss, and a game against Arkansas. And so Kate Klubnik, um, Trinidad Chambliss, and Taylon Green are the three quarterbacks that I wanted to kind of showcase him with. And first game up here, we will go to the first game of the season, and that is against this Clemson group here. And I think he was absolutely incredible. I mean, this is as close to a flawless game as you really could see from the cornerback position here. So we will start first play here pretty early in the game, first quarter. Mansoor is down here at the bottom of the screen. And I have here that he's a willing tackler. So take a look, see how the play breaks down here. So again, bottom of the screen, you get a counter play, and as a cornerback, he is getting into the fire, and that's a solo tackle from a cornerback that a play ultimately hitting the hole. I think a lot of times you see cornerbacks, they may see this play happening, they'll kind of jog over to the mix and act like they're trying to make a play, but no, this is a guy who's bringing his hard hat, to work every day, and he's going down and he's making those plays. Now we will go to 12:30 in this one where we get to see a little bit more of the coverage side of things here with them. So got sticky man coverage. And the nice thing with Mansoor is that he can play in the boundary and he can also play, field side there as well. So you can move him depending on what the alignment ultimately looks like there. So again, bottom of the screen here, man to man. He's not going to have any safety help on this play here. It looks like they're in a cover one if I'm just kind of guessing here. But let's take a look. Bottom of the screen there. Receiver runs an absolutely awful route, but Mansoor is there. I mean, that ball never had a chance because the coverage was absolutely excellent. We'll run it back one more time here from the aerial view. Again, you can see Mansoor is absolutely all over that. There was never a window for Cade to fit that ball in there. Then we will go to 14:35 in this one, where again, we're sticking with this man coverage theme here. So you see him, he's at the top of the screen now and all over it. Boom. Absolutely never had a shot to get that ball in there. And again, I think this kind of goes through what I was mentioning there as well. He's a physical guy, he gets a little handsy there. So you see they're about 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage there, but he's smart enough to realize, hey, I got to get my hands off of him. And he has, if you're looking at it right now, he kind of has a hand around him. I think this could have been potentially called a penalty there, but I'm perfectly fine with the no call. I don't like the ticky tack calls with the corner receiver matchups there. And then he does a great job of just kind of getting around the receivers, outside shoulder here to get the PBU on the ball there. So that's absolutely excellent coverage there. Again, no window for Kate to fit that ball there. Then we're going to move on to 16:43 here. Boom. Where again, we're getting some more man coverage. I believe he's at the top of the screen here, if I remember correctly. Yep, top of the screen. Again, absolutely nowhere for that ball to go through. Gets targeted again, but he's hype. He's a guy who's going to bring the energy every play there as well. But again, we'll just kind of see it again from this area view here. Um, and the LSU defense, give them a ton of credit. Mansour's job was made very easy this past season because that defensive front seven, man, they were attacking the quarterback really all season. So make the quarterback get rid of the ball pretty quickly there, and you know, as good as Mansoor is, there is hardly ever a time where he was really getting beat in coverage there. So just great man coverage there, yet again. Now we're gonna go ahead and go over to 1808 in this one. Just got a couple plays left in this game. So we will go over 1808 here. Let's see. Top of the screen there as well. He's back in the on the field side. And this time we're in some zone coverage here. So again, recognizing route concepts. Obviously, this is a bad ball by Klubnik there, but I mean this just doesn't get any better as far as play recognition goes. Because you can see here, film, he's looking down. Looks like they're in a cover three. They're in a cover three coverage here, but he's got his eyes on the quarterback here the entire way. This guy over here was never a threat to him, and you could see by how fast he just triggers right on this route here. Cade, obviously, the pressure is in his face again, so he's rushing his throw. But Mansoor is all over this from the snap, and again, just puts himself in a position. It's a bad throw for sure, but again, put himself in a great position to get the pick there and you know steal a possession here for his LSU offense. Now we're gonna go ahead and go to 21-30 in this one, and this will be our last play from this game. All right, perfect. Then we'll see where he's lined up back on the field. Bottom of the screen here. All right. So boom. Gets off of his guy, goes down, makes the tackle there. Again, I think a lot of cornerbacks, this feels like it should be the bare minimum, but a lot of cornerbacks aren't going in and sticking their nose in there like that. And sometimes you get the arm tackles and things like that. With Mansoor, that's not going to be the case. He is coming to lay the lumber pretty much every time he can there. So again, we'll see it here from the end zone view. This will be the one play that we actually can't see from the end zone view that we'll still do it some justice here. So gets a little dump off there, and he triggers immediately and is coming downhill to try to make that tackle there. So great stuff from Mansoor in that game. Now we're going to go ahead and go over to the second game where we got a matchup against Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss. Go ahead and share this one. And we'll start with the only time that I had a negative play actually on film um for Mansoor. And for me, I think this is something that's easily fixable, and it wasn't a true concern as a whole for him. Um, but you got him down here one on one. This is a third down. I believe it was like 3rd and 6. You can see he's playing the sticks here. So this essentially the 20-yard line is where the first down marker is going to be. So I have this listed as a negative for him because he knows that this is where the first down marker is. But he lets this receiver pretty much, get exactly to where he needs to be. So you see how the play kind of develops here, but boom. He lets the receiver break this cushion way too easy. Knowing that this is, 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7, whatever it was, and knowing that this receiver is ultimately going to try to pick up that first down, you can't let him just get an absolute free release all the way to the sticks and then, have that in breaking route there and, ultimately let him pick up the first down and some extra yardage there. For me, I think this was just kind of watching the play goes. Because again, if you see it here from this angle here, he's flat footed from the start. It's not really doing anything here. It's just kind of shuffling. Um, nothing definitive. Doesn't really get the feet moving here at all. And I think he was beat really from the snap here. This receiver was going to always be able to break inside here and gets that first down marker and pick up the first for Ole Miss there. So that was just really the one bad play that I saw from Mansoor. And again, I think that's just more of a situational awareness kind of thing and something that can easily be fixed. But I don't think that's a true concern with him. I just think this was one play where that just kind of happened to happen. But we'll go ahead and go on now to 1040. Second play in this one, we got it charted as he's a willing tackler yet again. So you see him on the outside here, field corner, and let's see what happens with this play. So they run a little outside zone play here. And again, he's throwing his shoulder in there. This isn't an arm tackler kind of guy. He is going in and he's trying to make sure the guy who's getting hit feels where he's coming from. So see it there from the end zone view again. You love to have that tenacity from your cornerback. Now we'll go over to 2025 in this one, where we got it charted as some sticky man coverage here. And so now he's on the bottom side of the screen here. You see that they try and make him the field corner as much as possible there, but I did see instances as well where he's playing in the boundary. Um, so we'll see the man coverage here. Boom. Got hands on, got the hands off of him though. There was absolutely nowhere to go with that ball there. And that was a coverage breakdown there. And I think a lot of that is, obviously, like I said before, the LSU defense does a great job of getting after the quarterback here. But in general, when you have coverage like this and you're able to just stay in a receiver's hip pocket and there's absolutely nowhere to go with the ball, it does make it easier. I think these guys did a great job of working together because the coverage on the back end made it easier for the defensive line to eat, but then also just kind of knowing you only got to defend for, 2, maybe 3 seconds there gives the cornerbacks a lot of confidence there as well. Now we're going to go off to 30-27 here, where we're going to see some more tackling here from Mansoor. 27, where is he at? See, now he's in the boundary, so he's got less ground to cover here. But so they throw a little toss play, and ultimately, Mansoor's not the one that makes the tackle here. But again, I think his willingness ultimately caused the penalty here because this ultimately ended up being a block in the back. But this absolutely stuffed this play here. And again, I love seeing a cornerback that is willing to just go downhill, especially in these obvious run plays. Like there was never a doubt that Mansoor wasn't trying to go and make this play there. So great stuff from him. And then we will go to the last play, I believe, actually from this game here, 34-35, where he's showing off more tackling. And I think it's interesting to see so many plays of him actually, triggering downhill and making these tackles there. Because a lot of times in a lot of these games, teams weren't targeting him. And so for him to actually go down and make plays, he would have to go and do it with the tackle or, just trying to stick his nose places. Because again, teams really weren't targeting him because of how locked down he was. So um last one we got here. Let's see where it goes. Again, zone coverage. And I think he was a second late here because this could have been an interception. But again, let's take a look at it here. So it's zone coverage, and really this is his responsibility right here. It seems like they're in a cover 2 or a Tampa 2 coverage here, but he is reading the quarterback's eyes the entire way here. And I think this guy actually kind of got misaligned from the snap there. There looks like there was a little bit of confusion pre-snap. And so this really isn't Mansoor's responsibility. But again, he is smart enough to know, hey, I'm in zone. I can read the quarterback here. And once he sees something, he is going 100 miles an hour to try and go make a play. So you can even see it here. So he knows that he's late, but he is all out sprinting over here to try and either get a pass breakup or make that tackle immediately there. So kind of see how it plays out here. He's absolutely he gets on his horse there and he is flying down to try and make that play there. We'll see it from the end zone view here, I suppose. I'm not sure if you can actually see it fully, but yeah, he's flying down, and that's how he can go down and make that tackle there right away. Now we just got one more game to go through here, and that's the game against Arkansas. Um, let's take a look here. All right, boom. So we got the Arkansas game pulled up here, and we are starting with some sticky man coverage. So he's top of the screen here. He is in the boundary this time around. And again, this time, this is what I would have wanted to see on that third down from the last game, where you kind of understand where a receiver might be running here. You're in the off coverage, so you're not getting your hands on right away, but you got your eyes on the quarterback here, and you are fully aware of what this receiver is doing there at the same time. So, boom, and it looks like it actually wasn't a man coverage here. It looks like they are actually in zone coverage here, but he was all over this route from the jump. And so for him to go in, the timing was beautiful. That's not a pass interference. He got there at the exact same time as the ball did. That's great stuff here from Mansoor. And then we're gonna go ahead and go over to 857, where this will be the last play that I show you, where he's in there making tackles. Because again, that's not where he's gonna make his money at. But I think just knowing that he will tackle, like I think that's a mentality you want to have in a DB room, especially if you're picking high, and you don't have any dogs in that DB room. So um, we'll see it here. He's at the top of the screen here. I think this is a play that ultimately ends up going to the flat, and he flies downhill with bad intentions here, if I remember correctly. So boom, you see it there. He is at this point 15 yards away, and he is going 100 miles an hour to go and try and knock this guy's head off. Um, and so you see right away, boom, breaks down, makes the tackle. Like you don't see that a lot of times from the cornerback position. So that's why it's so special to me. And the other thing is that this is Mike Washington over here. This isn't just some, scrub of running back. Like this is a guy who's in my top 5 running backs in this year's class. A guy who performed very well at the combine and has 4.3 speed here. So for you to go out and just make this play solo, one on one with him, in open space there, I think that says a lot about your tackling ability there. So boom, to the point of attack, gets him down, chomps him down there, and again, bringing the energy and just firing up this LSU defense. Now we will go off to 13-11, where we see a little bit more of some man coverage here. Boom. So we are here. And let's see where we're at. Oop, or maybe I'm at 14-11. Let's take a look. All right, let's see if this is maybe what I was talking about. Nope, because that is a run play. Let's see what's over here. Let's see what's in that 13 range. Maybe we're a little late with it. All right, let's take a look here and see if this is it. So we got him at the top of the screen here. May have mischarted the play here, but let's see what happens. It looks like this was a design run player from the beginning. So not sure what happened with that one, but alas, we will keep it moving. We're going to go to 17-11, where we're going to see some ball skills from him. So you got him top of the screen here, and obviously red zone. And so you can play a little bit differently here. So you get some press coverage here. Let's see. Does he get any hands on? Yes, he does. Ball gets thrown there. Receiver never had a shot there. Mansoor absolutely controlled the receiver here with his ability to get the hands on there. And this is fully legal because it is all within the 5 yards there. So he gets the receiver in the position that he wants him. So the hands on right now are 5 yards off the line of scrimmage there. So no harm, no foul. But then he gets his head around and sees where the ball is coming to, beats the receiver to the spot and gets takeaway and keeps Arkansas from putting points up on the board in this one. Then again, we'll see it here from the end zone view. Receiver never had a shot. Receiver's not balls in the air. Receiver's not even looking. He doesn't know what to do because Mansoor is in his chest with the hands on, and Mansoor is not only in his chest making sure he doesn't make a play on the ball, but he also has the wherewithal to see that the ball's coming his way, gets off of the coverage there and makes the pick. That is great rep from Delane in that one. And then we're gonna go off to our last play in this one towards the end of the game here, 29-11. Might be the last play of the LSU defense in this game. So we'll see here. He just went out in. Actually, let's paint the picture. Let's paint the picture for you guys. So they'll pull it up here for us. So it's third and 4. They're down 1. See where the sticks are. Goes in motion there. Mansoor's clearly one-on-one coverage there. They run an out route right at the sticks. Mansoor is all over that. Gets the PBU, gets the breakup there, and ultimately gets them over to fourth down. So again, we'll see it here from the end zone view. Boom. Look at this. This is tight man coverage here, man. Like it doesn't get any smaller of a window than this. So able to get his hands in there. They went into motion. You know it's man to man. You're trying to get him with some outside leverage there, but nope, not enough. Mansoor sees that, gets the PBU, and again is firing up his team there as far as the energy goes there. But um, that is it this week for Mansoor. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed that film study there. Again, I think he is a absolutely special cornerback. Absolutely should be the first corner off the board there. And again, I think he can have as much of an impact as what Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley did from that 2022 class, because I truly think he is the best corner prospect that we've seen since then. And there's been some dogs that have been in the league, Christian Gonzalez, I think of, and Devin Witherspoon. Like, those are two guys who are absolute dogs. But as far as just coming into college or coming into the NFL out of college, like I think Mansoor is a better prospect than even some of what Witherspoon and Gonzalez have shown you so far in the NFL there. Next week we will get back into another film study here. I don't know who I'm going to use just yet, but I'm thinking we could go Ted Hurst potentially. We could potentially go Jacoby Thomas from Miami. So again, not sure which guy, we're going to roll with next here, but another week we are closer and closer to the NFL draft here. So appreciate you guys tuning in and tapping in here with me. As always, appreciate the likes, the shares, the comments, all that good stuff. If there is somebody that you want me to break down, even if it's not a full breakdown, like how it is with Mansoor here, I would love to just kind of, show you some film or kind of go through what I see with prospects and things like that, because I absolutely love doing this. So again, appreciate your guys' support, and we'll see you again next week for a new episode of Real Recognizes Real.